it feels like the face I'm seeing here on this Kuroe Shizuku figure is ever so slightly different from the other figures of her. Hi and welcome back to the channel. I'm Steven from X Kurogane Studio, today with a scale figure review. Yes, we have another Marin Kitagawa figure. This time around we have a Kuroe Shizuku cosplay version by Good Smile Company. And this was kind of an impulsive purchase. I wasn't planning on purchasing this figure. In fact, I did not even know she just came out. It was when I was browsing a proxy website looking for figures to buy to make an unboxing video. I came across her on Good Smile Company's Amazon Japan store, and it got me thinking, wait, is this right? 1/6 scale from Good Smile Company themselves at 19,000 yen. Oh, I need to check this one out. So I bought one and here we are today. So the official MSRP price before any taxes or shipping is around 19,081 yen or so, just under 20k. And the release date was in late March 2026. So barely 1.5, 2 months ago at the time of publishing this review, making this a very new release. And getting to the dimensions of this figure, including the base all the way to the top of her head over here, that would be 27 centimeters. But if you deduct the base and this slight elevation she had on her foot pegs over here, I think she would be closer to 25.5 centimeters. So that is a bit undersized for 1/6 scale. Or is it just the right size because I did not pay attention to her actual height as a character in the anime? Anyways, it is still bigger than 1/7 scale, that is for sure. I've compared her to my other 1/7 scale figures and she is actually bigger. So that would be a very nice thing. Moving on to the box. This box over here gets a big thumbs up from me. I'm impressed on how much effort Good Smile Company put into the packaging of a scale figure that cost under 20,000 yen in today's economy. Yes, this is one heck of a box. Jeez. I mean, even if I were to use some force and just put some pressure on the box, it would not cave in. This is so thick. I'm not sure how many layers of cardboard they're using over here, but this is the kind of box you'll see in a 30,000 yen scale figure, not 20,000 yen. And some expensive figures do not have a box this good either. So this would be the first time I'm giving a figure box a 10 out of 10. Yes, considering the price value and see the way they designed the box and everything, a lot of care went into designing the packaging. And of course, we do have a shiny authenticity sticker over here. Excellent. I wouldn't change a thing, right? This is the best box for figure at 20,000 yen up to this point. For the assembly part, well, you just plug the figure into the base and I think everything was pretty straightforward. Whenever I see a plastic film between two separate parts of a figure, I know that it is removable, even though it is not mentioned in the instruction sheet. So yes, you can remove her skirt if you wish. And when you do remove the skirt, you will be greeted by a very nice pair of garter belts and a nice pantsuit over there, which is frilly. Totally on point with the character design, but her backside is pretty flat. Like, she is not a very curvy character, but looks nice overall. But if I were you, I would display the figure with the skirt on, because the way the figure is being designed, her pose where she's pulling up her skirt on her left hand over here to show her garter belts ever so slightly. If you were to remove the skirt, then the pose would look unnatural. It would look a bit weird, not to mention, this frilly dress or blouse around her, it is floating in mid-air with no skirt underneath. So it looks weird. It is like defying gravity or something like that. So I would always display this figure with the skirt on. If I wanted to see some oshiri or some nice pantsuit, or buy an 18+ anime figure, and this isn't it. So nice feature to have over there, and some people were pretty surprised by how her skirt is removable when they received their figure. I read it in the comments in myfigurecollection.net, but honestly speaking, this is a very common hidden feature in anime figures in general, even 10 or 15 years ago. Back then, if we were to buy an anime figure where the character design is wearing a skirt, be it a mini skirt or even a long skirt, we know that indirectly the skirt is removable because the waist region is not glued permanently. Yep, can pull it out and remove the skirt. So this is no different from that. I'm not surprised by this at all. Meanwhile, for the assembly, yes, you need to replace her neck collar over here with one that has chains on it. I think this is something everyone would do because it makes the figure looks more detailed. And as for the stability test, this is an excellent 10 out of 10 as well. Like when I shake the figure, it is rock solid, does not wobble even one bit. This is perfect stability right here. 10 out of 10, yeah, solid. And the base is also heavy enough to support the figure, feels high quality, feels premium. So we are off to a good start over here for this figure. Moving on to the sculpt department, I think my favorite part about this figure is actually her hair, because in combination with the paintwork, how they did the color gradient, I think her hair, her headpiece over here, whatever it is called, I'm not sure what it is called, this is probably the most detailed part of this figure, because if you look at the big picture of this figure, her blouse, her skirt and so on, it is just a plain dress with dark color paint on it, right? So there isn't that much intricate detail on the character design, which may be why this figure is so affordable at under 20,000 yen. So the overall sculpt of the figure, all of the 3D parts over here, and the dress, I can give it 7.5 out of 10. That's the maximum, not any higher, because this is not a very detailed character design. In fact, the Atelier Raiza figure that I reviewed last week, the outfit design on that character is a lot more detailed, and I gave her only an 8 out of 10. The good things about it is that there are no flaws to be found over here, no ugly gaps or seam lines, no uneven surfaces. Everything is put together very well, no glue leaking out either, and part fittings are excellent. So the sculpt is a 7.5 considering how good the quality control is. Meanwhile, for the face, I would say that the face is a bit polarizing over here, because I did notice some slight differences on what I see in this character Kuroe Shizuku in the anime, and also the Taito version, the T-most version, and also the Taito AMP Plus version, and this Good Smile version. If I were to compare 3 different figures of her, the other 2 are prize figures, and the 4th comparison would be directly with what I see in the anime, it feels like the face I'm seeing here on this Kuroe Shizuku figure is ever so slightly different from the other figures of her. And I believe this is all down to what is the source material the sculptor was referring to when they sculpted this figure over here. Maybe the cover art for the manga or the novel, whatever the original material is. This is something very common. I've seen this over and over, especially with Shiro from No Game No Life. Some brands, they have her face look a lot more like what you see on the manga cover art. Meanwhile, the other brands will make her look more like what you see in the anime. So the eyes are a bit different, the shape of the eyes and so on, the shape of the face as well. And I believe that is what we're dealing with over here. So I can't objectively say that this is a good face or this is a bad face. It really depends on whether you like this kind of design or not. And I'm a bit not used to it, I would say. Yet at the same time, I can easily recognize that this is Marin Kitagawa cosplaying as Kuroe Shizuku. So this is a really tough one for me. I'm not sure how to give it a score. I believe that an 8 out of 10 at the bare minimum is appropriate, because there really isn't anything wrong with it. And we will revisit this topic again when I compare her to Taito's prize figures in a future video. Moving on to the paintwork, this is where I see Good Smile Company being superior to Good Smile Arts Shanghai, which I have reviewed a few of their Nikkei figures, and every single one of them had some small flaws. But for this Good Smile Company scale figure that cost only 20,000 yen, 0 flaws. I tried my best to look for paint transfer, paint scratches, or any unevenness on the surface finish, color gradients, everything. Could not find a single flaw on it, even the decal placement. Everything looks perfect over here. Granted, this is a simple character like I mentioned earlier. The blouse is just, the blouse and skirt are just plain dark purple, black, like a very dark shade of purple color over here. And all they had to do is to do some gradual, some light shading to make it look good. So the challenges to paint this figure without making any mistakes is a lot lower, and they are able to give us a perfect figure over here. So paint work, I can give it 8 out of 10 as well, not any higher because of the character design not having enough detail. But once again, the hair over here really does stand out. The color gradient they did on the purple hair over here, I love it so much. And you guys know, if you watch my channel enough, that I love my purple hair waifus. Even though this is Marin Kitagawa underneath, the way they painted the purple hair over here in a cosplay, I love it so much. I just couldn't stop looking at her hair. When I unboxed the figure, I was like, oh, this looks gorgeous, right? At this point, we are looking at perfect sculpt, perfect paint work, zero flaws in both categories. But what about the base? More good news. Now, this is a matter of give and take, whether you prefer acrylic bases or ABS plastic bases. I know that I've brought up this point so many times where acrylic is very easy to accidentally scratch, but they certainly do make a figure look more premium and more expensive than it actually is, with the added benefit of making the figure more stable, because this is a solid block of plastic. It is not hollow, which means there is some weight to it and the figure is very stable. It does not feel like a very top heavy figure is being supported by a empty and hollow cheap plastic at the bottom. So this base over here, I would give it a 9 out of 10. And this is something very subjective. What about the remaining missing 1 point out of 10? I'm not sure why her name is printed behind instead of in front of the base. It does not look bad at all, and this may be a creative choice, but it still looks weird to me, to be honest. And it was this one single factor that made me feel reluctant to give her a full 10 of 10 when it comes to the base over here. Metal rods on both feet and stability, like I mentioned earlier, is a full 10 out of 10. So at the conclusion of today's review, if you are a skilled figure collector and you will never touch a prize figure, but you want a figure of Marin Kitagawa in this cosplay over here, Kuroe Shizuku, this is one of the best options out there already. Even at the full price of 19,000 yen, I don't know if she will ever bargain bin. I'm not sure how to predict. With Marin Kitagawa, it's a bit random because, her Aniplex figures, like the baby doll version, is insanely popular for a good reason, and she's now up to over 40,000 yen. And it was since last year, since pre-order. I kept telling you guys to pre-order or buy the Aniplex version, and by today you see what happened to her. But for this Kuroe Shizuku version, I think this is all down to whether you like the face on this figure of Shizuku compared to the price figures or other brands. Overall, I don't regret this purchase at all. But at the same time, I don't see myself keeping this figure. I might sell it because I mean, I buy so many figures every month and space will eventually become a problem, and I need to focus on what I like best, and the rest I have to sell them. Yeah, so unfortunately this Shizuku figure might be on the chopping block. I might sell her off to anyone who is interested, but make no mistake, I'm very impressed with this figure, way ahead of what Good Smile Arts Shanghai is doing with their Nikkei figures. I really wish that all of the Nikkei figures I reviewed or bought for my own personal collection recently were made by Good Smile Company instead. So until then, if you found this review helpful or informative, please give it a like and subscribe to this channel for more anime figure content. And until then, thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.